so much, and I know it's a lot, and I appreciate everyone who's come out. It's a lot of work and a lot of energy that people are putting out to come to these meetings, you know, multiple times sometimes. I'd like to just make a couple of comments. First, on just a few of the technical details. And some of the examples up here that you showed, I just wanted to call your attention to the example of the house where we have a tree in the driveway. Right now, the current ordinance says that you can protect trees if you can't have an alternative to ingress and egress. So that's not a very good example of how we would protect a tree under this draft, because it's already protected in the ordinance that we have. In your second example, when we have several trees and one of them is in the stream buffer, we already are protecting trees in the stream buffer. So again, that's a tree that would already be protected, so that's not really an example of a tree that we would gain under this draft. A couple people have made comments previously, but I want to just touch on the value system. So the value system is based somewhat on, I think, some of the input that was given about having a qualitative value system. But this is purely a monetary value system. And we've gone to great efforts, complex lengths, doing math, doing the complications, and at the end of the day, we can still cut the trees if we pay a price, and we still have to replant. There's no protection. So, you know, we said, you know, about complexity, we can boil that down to a very simple question. Is it protecting trees? It's a very simple question. I think another comment that was made is a tree ordinance can't do everything. Well, there's one very simple question. Can it protect trees? And this proposal doesn't do that. There are a lot of statements were made by the Commissioner of Planning in the past, in the 2 years that have led up this, that said that a transactional way of approaching trees is not going to work. We can't do pay to cut, because the only way you can do that and have it work is to have the tree worth the square footage of the real estate value that it's standing on. We're never going to have that. That's not realistic. So we've come up with a lot of very common sense, practical proposals that are common sense. And one of them is to rate trees by qualitative value. And you have a method that's already been suggested to you many times to do that. We're not seeing that here. As just as a little point about that qualitative value, I would like to call your attention to the tree rounds in the corner of the room. In case anyone wants to come up and take a look at this, let's flip this one around actually. Yeah, there we go. So if you want to come up and take a look at these are tree rounds that were cut, most of them not too far from where I live in Eastlake. And they're all trees that are 160 to 200 years old. They were cut under the current ordinance. This is a round of a post oak, only about 30 inches DBH. This is the base. If you count the rings on that, it's 280 years old. It was in a side yard setback. It was cut. It was allowed to be cut by the arborist department, even though it was on the edge of a yard in a newly developing, you know, where we have an old house, we tear down the old house, we put up new stuff, 280 years old, post oak. And then we have this right here, which is really great. It's a hickory, okay? That's only 18 inches DBH. And you can come up here and count these rings. It's over 200 years old. That was cut within the last few months, less than a block from my house, in a stand of older trees. This is what we have in Atlanta. Yep.
I'm only interrupting because I want to make sure we can.
Yep, I'll go quickly.
If anyone wants to yield their time to discuss this, okay.
Okay,
we'll yield your time. Okay, because we're down to about 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll be fast. I'll be fast. This right here, I just do this one for 1 second. This is that's a little heavy. This is actually only a tree branch from a white oak. If you count the rings, there's almost 200 there. There may be more from a white oak that was cut down in Kirkwood that was over 200 years old. This is one of the top branches that was way up in the tree. We couldn't get around. So we have an old growth forest in Metro Atlanta. We have a very special forest in Metro Atlanta. most of that forest, 80%, almost 80% of that forest is located in single-family residential zoning. 29% of the land area in Metro Atlanta is in R4 zoning. None of this addresses the massive tree loss that's taking place there. I wanted to just touch on one other thing. In the evaluation system, at the very top level of trees, you have a level 5, and it says those trees could still be removed with a variance process. So basically, they're not protected. But this made me think a little bit about kind of the way this has been moving. Where are we with the tree appeals process? Are you suggesting that we would replace the public appeals process that we have now with a variance process in which the public could not participate and all decisions would be made by staff, just the way they are with DDH, with no appeals? So I would ask that it might be interesting to talk a little bit about that, and I would ask you, actually, would you make a commitment tonight to say that we will retain the appeals process, and that will be in the next draft of the